of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders episode 37, the conclusion to the Hol Horse and Boingo two-parter. Well, this episode was definitely funnier than last week's, but it was such a goofy, weird, and albeit bizarre episode. So previously, Hol Horse was caught in a tight spot since Jotaro, Abdul, and Joseph was heading towards him, and he has his fingers up Polnareff's nose. So what he does is he takes Polnareff hostage while he hides behind the building in this like small gap with his gun Emperor at the back of Polnareff's head, getting him to convince the others to leave. So why didn't he shoot Polnareff and make a run for it? Well, I'm assuming it's because if he did try to do that, Jotaro and the others might catch up to him and beat the ever-living shit out of him. So Polnareff, caught in this situation, decides to give them a signal to let them know about Hol Horse. So what he does is he points the direction to Hol Horse with his tongue. He's going like this. Seriously though, he can like stretch his tongue pretty far, and his tongue even formed an arrow. I mean, his face was like getting all sweaty, snot was coming out of his nose, his eyes was tearing up. I mean, like, it was really funny. And yet, you can't help but think, what is up with this series and tongues and bathrooms and poop while we're at it, you know? As for the others, they were confused as to why Polnareff was making a face. But Polnareff is like, behind me! Look behind me! I'm sending you a signal! Please, understand! But eventually they did figure it out. Unfortunately, Abdul had to say it out loud. I thought Abdul was supposed to be one of the smarter members of the group. I mean, if Polnareff was caught as a hostage and you caught the signal saying that there was someone behind him, you wouldn't say it out loud, you know? And because of that, Hol Horse decides to shoot Polnareff, but he does get saved by sneezing. He sneezed, and the scene was replayed twice in slow motion. All because Hol Horse stuck his fingers up his nose, making his nose itchy, making him sneeze. God damn it. You know, if you think about it, if Hol Horse didn't stick his fingers up Polnareff's nose, then Polnareff would have gotten shot in the head. Which got me thinking, why did Tohth predict that if this was going to lead to his downfall? And since Hol Horse was caught off guard, Polnareff used his silver chariot to hit him at the back of his head, knocking him into these urns full of this oily liquid. Now, it seems that Hol Horse was going to get the ass-kicking of a lifetime, but he gets saved. And this led to Tohth's prediction coming true. In the preview, it mentioned something about a car accident, and, well, it does happen. It's all because of a car accident. But here's how this happened. The two jerks from last week's episode that confronted Hol Horse and, you know, one of them getting shot in the ear, they were driving this truck that they somehow got, maybe their own, I don't know, and they were driving through the city trying to find Hol Horse and get some payback, and they found him, decided to run him over, and Jotaro and the others, even Hol Horse, didn't even notice the goddamn truck heading towards them. I don't know how they didn't notice. Unfortunately, the truck drove over the oily liquid, causing the truck to slip and crash into Jotaro and the others. And that is how the prediction came true. So I guess it was a good thing that Hol Horse shot that one guy in the ear. So Hol Horse and Boingo get away, wait for the next prediction. According to Tohth, Jotaro was the only one that was awake. Because Jotaro, I guess, somehow managed to like jump out of the way in the last second. Even though he did bleed a bit on the head, he was a bit battered up from that accident. As for Abdul and Joseph, they're okay, mostly. I mean, Abdul did say that they were just scratched up, they were fine. It's just so baffling like how much these guys endure in this trip. And they managed to like recover easily and managed to continue on going. Unless you're Abdul from season 1 or Kakyoin in this season. But then again, they've gone through worse than getting hit by a truck. As for Polnareff, he was caught in some rubble, so Jotaro had to like get him out. Meanwhile, with Hol Horse and Boingo, the next prediction came to fruition. Hol Horse had to go to these two guys working on these sewage pipes, pay them to open a section of the pipe, use Emperor to shoot into the pipe, which it turns out led to the scene of the accident, and Jotaro just so happened to be like right close to the pipe. So by shooting into the pipe at noon exactly, Jotaro would get shot into the head and get killed. So Hol Horse meets with these two workers, and after a couple of hijinks ensue, they finally manage to open the pipe because Hol Horse threatened to smash their skulls in with a rock. You know, he probably should have done that earlier, I'm just saying. So a couple of seconds left until noon, he shoots into the pipe. So all they have to do is just wait until the bullets get to Jotaro. Now while Jotaro was helping Polnareff get out of the rubble, Polnareff sneezes again, this time on Jotaro's face. It was very disgusting. Yet technically, he saved his life because by moving out of the way, he dodged the bullets. Which was very surprising because, well, this is the first time that Tohth's prediction didn't come true. It wasn't surprising that Jotaro survived. Obviously, there was going to be some sort of loophole, but there was a reason why Tohth's prediction didn't come true, and it was because Hol Horse's watch was too fast, meaning that he shot early. The simplest mistake led to his downfall. This is why you have to set your watches to the right time. As for the bullets, apparently the bullets were still going and they changed trajectory heading towards Hol Horse, who didn't notice and was like trying to like read through Tohth's prediction. Boingo notices this and he doesn't warn Hol Horse. He doesn't like try to say Hol Horse bullets or anything like that. He doesn't even say anything. He just cowers in fear, just steps back and just like covers his head like waiting for Hol Horse getting shot. And the bullets do go through the comic book, go through Tohth, and they hit Hol Horse on the head. And that was it. That was how Hol Horse got defeated. And you know what the funny thing is? He still lives. He's in critical condition, but he still lives. Because according to the police, if the bullet, it didn't go like 1 centimeter down on his head, he would have died. Although I'm surprised that we didn't get to hear the Hol Horse retired thing, you know? Like they do like in almost every episode so far. Now, as to how the prediction didn't technically come true, in last week's episode, Boingo mentioned that if you go against Tohth's predictions, you'll suffer greatly. So maybe that's why Hol Horse got shot instead of Jotaro. Well, that, or maybe it predicted that the Jotaro in the comic book was the one that gets shot. I don't know. Hol Horse can control the bullets since they're part of his stand, so why didn't Hol Horse control the bullets? I guess he didn't notice, he wasn't paying too much attention to it. Again, why didn't Boingo warn him? But okay, whatever. Well, then again, Jotaro is a very lucky guy. I mean, fate has other things in store for him, so it's too soon for him to die. As for Boingo, he came to the realization that revenge was pointless. There was really no need to go after Jotaro and the others. It wasn't worth it. And he figured, why not use his stand to not attack others, but to help others, make them happy, and bring good luck on themselves. This was a surprising sudden change on Boingo's character, but I was okay with it. I thought that, you know, this was going to be a happy ending for him, for once out of, like, Dio's minions. You know, speaking of Dio, I don't think he's the kind of person that will let anyone quit. You either have to do what he says, or you get killed by him. I mean, that was actually established in last week's episode with Hol Horse, but then again, I don't think Dio would give two shits about Boingo, or Oingo for that matter. Seriously, I don't get why he hired those two. So anyway, Boingo decides to go back to Aswan to see his brother, kicks the crate saying that he will no longer hide under a box. Unfortunately, the crate hits Iggy on the head. Yeah, where the hell was Iggy during all this? I honestly have no idea. He always goes off on his own. It's Iggy, what do you expect? So he is pissed at Boingo and attacks him. So yeah, no happy ending for Boingo. Which, you know, you gotta kind of feel bad for the kid, but then again, that's what you get for joining Dio, I guess. So the episode ends with Tohth saying in its story that Boingo was now depressed more than ever after Iggy's attack and was sent to the hospital with Hol Horse. Jan. You know, even though Boingo was okay, is he gonna get his stand back? He just left it behind. Whatever. So overall, this episode was definitely funny. I'd say better in terms of comedy than last week's episode, but it was really weird and goofy and, well, bizarre. I do wonder why this was a two-parter, but I believe this was around 4-5 chapters long. And since they had to add the chapter with Dio and Hol Horse from last week's episode, I can get why it was a two-parter. Hol Horse overall, I thought he was going to be more serious, but at the end of the day, he was a goofy character. I mean, I thought I wasn't going to like him, but I did. He did grow on me, and well, I liked him more than I probably should have. As for Stan, and he was one of the last recurring characters in this series. But I was not expecting him to be defeated like this, which is a bit of a bummer, but on the other hand, this is Hol Horse, so, well, yeah, it is to be expected. And this is the last we're ever going to see of the cowboy, so bye, Hol Horse. As for him working with Boingo, they do have good chemistry, and they do work together pretty well in a comedy aspect. But I gotta be honest here, I think Hol Horse had a better team with Jay Guile. I know that's saying much considering, well, Jay Guile was a serial rapist, but think about it. Hol Horse and Jay Guile made a pretty good team, and they actually made some progress. They got stuff done. And it was because of them they caused that surprise ending on episode 10 with, you know, Abdul getting killed. But teaming up with Boingo came off more as a comedy purpose. And even though I did like seeing Hol Horse and Boingo working together because it was funny, I have to go with the Jay Guile and Hol Horse as a team. As for Boingo, I'm still not a bit sure about his character, but I did like the change of heart, even if it was sudden. I mean, this is kind of like the first time we've seen one of Dio's minions that, you know, didn't have the flesh bud actually decide to do something good with his stand instead of like working with Dio. But then again, Dio wouldn't like let him off the hook. I'm just saying. Unfortunately, he had to get attacked by Iggy, so that was unfortunate. Animation and artwork was pretty good once again. That also goes for the music. I liked the pieces of music that they used during the comedy scenes. They did a pretty good job with that. As for voice acting, once again, was pretty good. So I know I didn't mention this from last week, but Boingo kept saying hi, or yes in Japanese, at the end of almost all of his sentences. I didn't know what was up with that. I mean, because he never did that when he was around Boingo. As for the voice actor of Hol Horse, Hidenobu Kiyuchi, he also did a pretty good job too. And he also voiced various roles in other animes, such as Hei from Darker Than Black, Ukita from Death Note, he was one of the guys from L's team, King Bradley from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, David Eagle from Hajime no Ippo Rising. He also voiced in both the Hunter x Hunter animes, the older one as Basho and Majitani, and in the 2011 anime, he voiced Franklin. He also voiced Go Hojo from Initial D Final Stage, Knuckle and Ryohei Sasagawa from Katekyo Hitman Reborn, the main protagonist of Monster, Dr. Tenma, Nero from One Piece, Shisui Uchiha from Naruto Shippuden, Yushi Oshitari from Prince of Tennis, and finally the main character of Terraformars, Shokichi Komachi. So this is going to be the last comedy-filled episode that we're going to see in the series. That means this is the last we're going to hear of the Akuyaku Concerto. So next week, we're going right back to Pat Metheny's Last Train Home. And speaking of next week, the preview has shown that Iggy is finally going to have a fight. I was wondering, when the hell is Iggy going to have his chance to shine, to show that he's not useless? Because not since Endul and Geb have we seen him use the Fool. And the Fool is an interesting stand since it's made out of sand, and I want to see, you know, Iggy use the Fool more often, you know? And I like Iggy, don't get me wrong, but I just want him to, like, not be the freaking mascot of the group, actually help them out, you know? Which was really annoying. I get that he's not fond of humans and all, but you'd think, you know, after that ordeal with Endul, that, you know, he'd get along better with the group, which he kind of does, but he doesn't, like, do anything to help. Which is why I'm so happy that next week he's finally going to get a fight. As to who he's going to fight this bird, which I believe his name was Pet Shop. It said on the title card. Not only that, but this was the same goddamn bird that we saw in the Polnareff flashback when Polnareff met Dio in episode 5. I don't know what kind of bird it is. It looks like a falcon or maybe a hawk, I'm not sure. But it didn't reveal his stand, which is good because I want to be really surprised when I see Pet Shop stand. So, tell me guys, what did you think of this week's episode of Stardust Crusaders? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you think of the shenanigans that ensued in this week's episode? And how did you feel about Hol Horse's exit as well as Boingo? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like the video if you like it and subscribe to more videos. And be sure to check out my Facebook fan page and Google+. So yeah, that is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders episode 37. Very funny episode, funnier than last week's, yet goofy and weird at the same time, but that's enough comedy. We're going straight to the serious stuff next week. I'm gonna respond 27, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.